My two cats are here.
Or it won't count down.
They came.
Hi,
They
everybody.
came.
Hi, everybody. It's
Oh, we're
yeah, it didn't give
live.
us a countdown this time. My. All right. Hi, everyone. Let us know you are there. Um, this is Nancy Reyes with For Your Canine.
And Joanne Soike with For Better For Worse.
And tonight we have a special guest, BJ Rayniak, with Rainy Day Productions. We're going to talk a little bit about video, since that's become quite a big business, especially during COVID, but specifically for nose work and for training. So we really wanted to. Hi, everybody. Hi, Deb. Hi, Mary Beth, Aaron. How are you? I know it's a different night. We usually are here on Sunday nights, but due to scheduling, since BJ and I are going to be at a trial this weekend, Sunday was a bad idea. So Friday night would have to do. So tonight we're going to be talking about a little bit about, learn more about BJ, since a lot of us know him from trials and we get our videos from him, but also he's also has a lot of other projects that he's works on and that he's done that we'd like to know more about. So really quickly, BJ, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into film, because nose work wasn't how you got into film.
No. And never did I think I would get into nose work. That was a cool, happy accident. But no, my name is BJ Rayniak. I live in Wisconsin, southeastern Wisconsin. And yeah, just have been into anything film focused, friendly my whole life. My mom always walked around with a VHS camera attached to her shoulder, so it was very normal for me. So yeah, went to film school for a little bit, lived in LA for a little bit, but I love Wisconsin. I love the Midwest. I like seasons. I like change in temperature. And so came back home and started doing my own independent projects. My wife and I started our own company, Rainy Day Productions. But along the way, we got a dog and we needed a trainer. And we found out about Laura up in Wisconsin, Laura Yurchek. And we were doing some training, just, basic obedience. And she caught wind that we had a video business, and she told us about nose work. And she said, hey, this is something you might want to come check out. I don't know if you'd be interested at all. I'm like, it sounds interesting. I'd like to just watch it. And we did our first trial 5 years ago at the Renaissance Fair.
Oh, wow.
And that was cool, just to be there, like behind the scenes kind of, where you can just wander wherever. And it was purely chaos, but it was fun, and we didn't really know what to expect. And we have just gone from about, I think, 2 to 3 trials a year to now it's like sometimes 2 to 3 a month, sometimes a 4 a month, all over the place. So they've really picked up. It's been more. I get hooked on it. Like, I have a hound dog that I really want to put in this sport, actually, if I could find the time to do it, but that's a different story. So that's kind of how we got into this whole sport.
Yeah. So a lot of you who've done nose work have purchased video, and you hear us talking all the time about how important it is to get the video and to order it. And it's not only because we love BJ, but because the videos are really, really come in handy. And I think the video, the ability to shoot video and get the video and buy the video has really changed how we train and how the training has progressed in nose work because of it. So it's been a big deal. I know a lot of people don't see how it is, but it's changed how we train, because now we're able to see what we do at trials and how the dogs work, and we're able to adjust our training based on that. And those of us who instruct, our students bring us the videos all the time, or we do consults on the video, and we talk about. So the videos have become a huge part of what we do in training. Do you find that's true, Joanne?
Absolutely. I think, we went from the originals of, I know that this happened and that happened, and you get that video a couple weeks later and you're like, oh, that was totally me. So it really has changed a lot of what we work on as well, because when our students bring us videos back, you can say, oh, that's interesting. Oh, look, you're seeing a lot of these types of hides. We need to practice those as well. So Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I see it too.
The camera doesn't lie. That's right, Mary
Yes.
Beth. It sure doesn't. And yeah, and usually, and for some of for some of the students, it's like, yeah, you think you did this, but you did that. So it really helps the instructor too to fine tune what you're working on. So, but what I wanted to kind of highlight a little bit today. There's a few things, but this one of them is how much work is really involved in doing the video. BJ makes it look really simple. Like he just shows up and the videos happen and the cameras are there and it's all great. But really, what's involved behind the scenes when after the show is over, right? After the show is over, and how to get the when you look at the video. So if you can kind of give us a quick, like what goes on once you get home with the videos and what happens there.
Sure. First thing, well, I always tell people that since we've been doing this 5 years, we've never deleted a single video ever. So I have hard drives. I have them sitting right here. Hold on. I have a stack of hard drives that are all.
Oh my God.
Okay. So from all the years. And so, but the reason is too, is like, if anything ever happens to someone's dog and they just want them for the memories here, later, we don't charge for that. I'll get you the videos right away. But so when we get done with a trial, actually every night, so tomorrow we'll do the day, and then I'll come back and I'll import everything and I'll get it organized just in a basic folder for the day. And then the next day we'll shoot and I'll dump all that footage in and I'll back it all up on a hard drive. So I have it on the computer. I keep it on the camera's cards, the SD cards, and then I have it on the hard drive as well, just in case anything happened, because it's never happened, but would go crazy.
It happened to me.
Yeah, I remember when all that was happening.
Yeah. So
that's,
yeah.
Well, anyway, so backup stuff is step one, but then it becomes a total detail-oriented organization game, because we take all the orders in the run order sheet, we make a note of everybody who ordered, and then we go through and we find all those people, and we have to make their own file folders on the hard drive. And I say on the order form, it says like, these are unedited raw, but I'm a little detail junkie. So if like something is too underexposed and is too dark, I'm gonna color correct it. I'm gonna boost it up, make it a little brighter. Now that's all for NW1, 2, and 3. The GoPros, organizing those are a little tricky, because usually if anybody's watching this video, we slate, which means we hold up the run order sheet in front of it and say dog 4. And we can tell who it is. Mm-hmm. With the GoPros, you have to know the people, and hopefully they haven't changed their clothes in between, the search areas. Which happens. So then you're looking at the dog, you're like, I think that's the same dog. When it's people that you're used to, it's different. But the new people are sometimes harder to find. But anyway, totally off topic. But it becomes once it's all organized, and then it's a matter of just getting them out. We use that WeTransfer platform, get it all out to everybody via email. Elites are totally different. All the process of importing is the same. But I was just telling them before we started this, the last sandwich trial in the elite trial in Sandwich, Illinois, it took almost an hour to do just one video, like edit the different angles together, because we had one search area had 2 GoPros and the main camera, and so if somebody would go around a wall, we couldn't see it, we'd have to cut over to the next area. And again, I'm a stickler with the timestamp, so if somebody wants to check their time and they're watching their video and they want to make sure the time is right or what was written down, I will make sure that to the exact frame that it's not off. And that's just stuff that if I was ordering videos, that's how I would like it, I guess. So that's kind of the way I treat things. But yeah, it can be time consuming, but we've learned a lot of steps. We've learned a lot of quick ways of getting around things, and it's been fun, because now we have like a system, especially when I find the right people who know who I can work well with. Courtney is like my go-to. Anybody who's met her, she's really good. Catherine was another one. Mike was another one. But COVID has caused some issues with being able to work with certain people and their family and everything. And so, yeah, Courtney's been my go-to this whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's been kind of, especially up by you.
Yeah.
So we have a few questions. Mary Beth wants to know, how do you decide where to put the cameras when you go to a trial site? Like, in the day.
That's a good question. Everything is based on, obviously, every location's different. I'm excited about tomorrow because we've been to Alpine twice. So this is like, all right, this is our third time back. I'm familiar with the area. But if it's let's say a container search, I always try to put, and I can't always do this, but I try to put the camera at the far end so that we see them coming off the start line, walking towards the camera. No matter what video you do, you're always going to have what we like to call butt shots. It's just going to happen where it's blocking view or whatever, it happens.
Yeah.
But vehicles and containers, I definitely like to be able to see people come at the camera from the start line. Almost every search is like that. But sometimes when it comes to interior searches with GoPro cameras, I love to be able to get as high up like a security camera as possible. Just because usually in a big interior room or even a small one, there's obstructions and there's things that block your view. And the higher up you can get looking angled down, the better you see over any of that. And you can catch certain things. And one of my favorite things to see is a handler might look one way and the dog does something and alerts, or maybe not alert, but is catching scent and catching odor somewhere, but the person was tangled up in a chair or the leash is caught, and being able to see that and rewatch and notice where, sometimes goofs happen, but that's why I really like the high angle for the interiors like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what other formulas I kind of go through my head depending on what the location is.
Yeah. So I remember one trial I was DC and are you hearing an echo?
Yes.
That's weird. Okay. Anyway, I was VC and VJ had placed all these cameras and the CO sort of came around and said, no, can't have that there. And so he scrambled a lot to have to move everything. So
that was, yeah, I remember that. Yes. And that happens sometimes. So I have my favorite spot and then it's what can I do in reality to not be obstructing a search area, or there was one I was setting up and I didn't realize I was literally right next to a hide. And somebody comes in there like, you're not setting up there. I'm like, oh, I thought it was here, here, and here. And they're like, yeah, and right next to your leg. I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. So that was an elite down in, where the heck was it? Anyway, that was
yeah.
But it happens. So yeah, you have to, my mom, I'll go back to her again. She's always said, blessed are the flexible, for they never get bent out of shape.
Yeah.
And you just have to figure out, if anybody's wanting to video trials, I mean, it's
a tough gig.
It's worse than a wedding. It can be worse than a wedding.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't do a second take, and you can't. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, and so other question that was really good, because I know you try really hard, and I've worked with you as a CO and as a trial host, and you are very flexible, and as a CO, I always think about the video because I'm also an instructor, so it's very important to me. I know some other COs, it's like it's not as important, but it's important for the competitor. For me, it is, as a competitor, as an instructor as well.
Sure.
So let's see. I had a couple of questions. So a couple of, and we're going to get to asking BJ about recommendations for different things. So keep those questions coming so that we can make sure that we pick his brain and ask him all the, because now with COVID, and I think this will always continue. It's always good to be able to do some video and stuff like that, even if it's an awkward for some of us that aren't really comfortable with it. So So we talked about that. So before we get into the other DIY stuff, so you've done some other films like that's not Nosework related. So I wanted to kind of highlight those because I think it's so cool that you do that, because I think that's very, I notice that those things, because I'm always interested in the arts in that way, like what inspired you to do the films you did and all that stuff, because that was a lot of work. I was kind of following you while you were doing some of the stuff that you were posting, and that looked really, really challenging. So I don't know, is it harder or easier than Nosework Trials, or
it takes a lot more preparation. I think when it comes to filmmaking in general, the more prepared you are, it's the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And so if you are totally prepared with what you're about to do, and you know everything, you kind of plan for anything that could go wrong, which if you're doing a trial and you're the host, you have to plan for everything to be okay. What's my Murphy's Law here?
Right.
And but in the world of filmmaking, you have a script and you have what's written for the day and what you're supposed to shoot, and it never goes as planned. But that's okay, because then something cool can come out of it too. You have to be open and, again, flexible for that. But yeah, we did back in 2000. What year was that we shot? So we just released a documentary on YouTube for free. It's called The Worth of Water, a Great Lakes Story. We've been shooting that for 3 years. We started that in 2017. It was these 2 gals came to us and said, we want to hike 343 miles from Lake Michigan to Lake Superior to raise awareness for the Great Lakes. They're ecologists and biologists in Milwaukee, and we'd like to document the whole journey. I said, cool, you're nuts, but let's do it. And that was crazy. I'm glad it's done, but I'm glad we did it, because I learned a ton too. I'm not a scientist, but I sure interviewed a lot of them, and it was interesting to learn from their brains. But so that's more about just raising awareness for where the importance of keeping fresh water safe and protected, and also just where they were back in the 70s to what they are now, and why we need to keep protecting them and not rolling back any protections that are out there. So that one's on YouTube. There's another one called The Rocket. We did that around the same time. That was 2016, I believe. Yeah. And that was the late summer. We were shooting that. And we usually shoot the whole movies, like scripted movies, in 2 weeks. We do 14 days nonstop, just shoot every day, long days, and then we're done. And it's, again, organized chaos for all of those. So that one's called The Rocket. That's based on a true story that my best friend went through in high school. He was supposed to be this big bad football player, and he got a head injury that changed his whole. He couldn't play contact sports anymore, so he got into cross country running. So that movie is about, things happen. How can you redirect your energy into something else and still accomplish greatness? And so that's on Amazon Prime. I believe Prime. Yeah. And The Rocket, you'll see a guy running on the front.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
So that's it's a very family friendly, semi-cheesy, just feel good movie.
Yeah.
But the goal with that one was we hadn't made a feature length movie and got it to distribution. So Richard and I, he's my producing partner, we just said, let's try it with this one and then learn the path, learn the game. And we did that. And then in 2019, during the polar vortex in February, late January, early February, we shot Blame in Wisconsin. Everything we've shot has been in Wisconsin. We like it here. Yeah. But it's that is a suspense thriller. That one, him and I wrote the whole story outline back in 2005, I think it was. So we've been sitting on this script for a long time. He actually sold the script, and then the rights expired to the company that he sold it to, and he got the rights back. They never made the movie. And so he got to double dip on that one, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so that one is in post-production right now. It's the edit is done. It's just all the final scoring and sound mixing and all that is being done right now. So we're hoping to get that out in late December it might be January. We'll see what happens. COVID has caused a lot of delays.
Tell me about it.
Crazy.
So you wrote these scripts with a partner?
Yeah. So Richard is he's very good at writing. He when it comes to like, I have an idea, let's just get it out. And so him and I with Blame, we just went back and forth with the whole story outline idea, and then he just goes for like 2 months and disappears and just writes every single day. When it came to The Rocket, since it was his personal life story, he just said at Halloween, I think it was, he's like, hey, I'd like to do this. And this was a phone conversation. I said, let's do it. He said, I'll have you a script by Thanksgiving. He did. And that was the script we made. We didn't even make any other alterations because he knew it was all up here for his whole life. And yeah, he kind of, you Hollywood some things to make it a better story. Sure. But,
yeah. But
I'd say at least 50% is true.
Which is more than most. So it's all good. Oh, that's good. Well, that's why I was just very interested in that other side of your work, right? Your in the filmmaking, because that's just such a interesting line of work and such an expressive part of the arts, and that you can make a movie about certain topics. And why, I'm always interested in why people why the topics, why that inspired you to do those. So those were really interesting, and always like, the documentary, that's interesting. I'm gonna watch it because I watched a whole lot about ecology and stuff like that while I was on we were on COVID lockdown, or sometimes I put it in the background to listen because it's always interesting to learn about things like that. So
I will say there's always a silver lining to everything. I've learned a lot this year just from, because well, I can't go out and do anything, so I'm gonna like read, or I'm gonna so yeah, it's true.
Yes, and there is a silver lining. There was actually for me, there's as terrible as COVID has been in one way, in another way it's been very, very, it's been not a bad thing all around. I can't wait till it goes away though. But,
I'm with you on that. Yes.
but you make the best of it while you can. Right. So all right, so we have questions.
So I had a quick question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm butting in.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, BJ, was your mom sort of a spark for this interest, or your love of Star Wars, or like what really did it for you? What really made you pursue it as a career?
That's a good question. So I've always been enamored with it and enthralled with it. I'm interested in particularly special effects in Star Wars. That stuff blew my mind as a kid. And so finding out how they did it. And there was a time when my mom came home with a 2-pack VHS double-decker because Forrest Gump was too long to fit on one. Remember, Titanic was like that too, if anyone remembers. But the second half of the second VHS tape for Forrest Gump was all behind the scenes, how they did what they did.
Yeah.
And my head exploded. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I was in grade school at the time. And then I get into high school, and I had no desire to go to college. I had no, I was going to work at my dad ran a factory at the time. I was going to do that. And I was just going to make my little movies on the side or whatever. And there was a rep that came to the school, and he was from Columbia College in Chicago. And he just said, filmmaking. He had a little pamphlet, and there was a filmmaker on the front. I'm like, what's that? Let's talk. I got my cookie and my Hawaiian punch, and I'm like, what do you I seriously, I remember it clear as day. And I went back to my media arts teacher at the time, who's been a huge influence as well. And I said, hey, what do you think of this? And she goes, I think you should do it. I think you need to talk to your parents. And when I did, because this is late semester, second semester, senior year, I'm not going to college. And then I meet this guy, and then I come home and, hey, Dad, I got an idea. I want to go to college. And he's like, cool, what for? I said, I want to be a filmmaker. And he's like, well, I'm not surprised. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was going to be like, what? So yeah, my mom and him both were very supportive. And I was there. I didn't get a degree in it. I just went and I didn't do like gen eds. I just took the film classes and then moved to Hollywood. So it was kind of crazy. It was fun. I was working at Blockbuster at the time too, so I love that.
That's awesome.
Oh man, I have a whole script based on that experience, and I'm going to make that movie. But that's
Yeah, that would be
it's like Clerks 3 in a blockbuster.
Basically, yeah, but it's set in the 90s. It's man, yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be fantabulous. Yes. I would love
that.
There's
one Blockbuster left in the country. It's in Oregon, and we've already talked with them about going and filming there. So
that would be fabulous.
That's great.
So okay, so yeah, I love Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies for that reason. How they did that was just and the history part of it was just awesome, and I love the movie for that.
Yes.
I mean, the whole movie was great, but how they brought in it was great. I loved it. Okay, so I think Mary Beth had another question. Wait a minute, where was it?
I think it's Karen's underneath. We did the camera placement.
There's a few on stuff. What do you have? Mary Beth says that. Do you have a most memorable filming moment from the past 5 years?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot. I'm trying to think. Well, so there's different kinds of memories. There's emotional ones, and then there's hilarious ones, and there's ones where you think a dog is going to take you out. And so, oh my gosh, I feel like I need to bring Sean in on this to talk.
Yeah.
We've had some doozy conversations. I always feel bad when a dog takes interest in us, in the camera and the tripod and anything like that. And so this is something, it's not really a favorite memory, but it's always like, I'm going on a tangent a little bit. It always drives me crazy if like I'm distracting them. And so I try to be far enough away. And sometimes you can't always be far enough away.
Right.
But sometimes the trick is just looking away. Like the camera's still pointing at them, but you just kind of start doing this and look. And then the dog's like, oh, okay. And they go out about their business, which is nice. But sometimes they just sit there and stare. And they're trying to figure out what you're doing and why you're there. And, I'm like, go ahead. Anyway, man, I'm going to have to think about this. I don't know if I have a favorite or a memory that jumps out.
Or do you have an emotional one? I'm sure there's a lot of those.
There's been a few because so doing this 5 years, I've gotten to know a lot of you guys just at all these trials. And then we become friends on Facebook and we get to see more about each other's lives and dogs. And sometimes when dogs move on, that's, it sucks for everybody. That's hard for everybody. And but there's also a sense of major pride too when, like, Nancy, I asked you, you and Chacha have been trialing for like a total of 7 years on and off.
Yeah.
And when at that elite trial, like that was a really cool feeling, just videoing you guys working together in this final moment of accomplishment. Yeah. Because man, there's a dog right behind you. But it is hard sometimes behind the camera to stay quiet.
Yeah.
Because you get so connected with these dogs and the handlers, and you want them to win every time, and you get really, oh no, there it is, no, turn around, and you try not to say these things. But yeah, those are some of the emotional times when there's victory and you've been following them since NW1 or even before that. It's just really, it's rewarding. I get it. I'm addicted to it.
And it goes back to similar, like as an instructor, you're with these people and dogs for many years, and when they pass on, it's almost like you've lost your own dog. Yeah. So that unfortunately is part of the gig, right? If you're that invested, because for a lot of the dogs, as they get older, as you see them getting older, it's a little your heart breaks a little bit every time you're like, oh no, don't go, you gotta hang out because I'm not seeing you every week. But it's just the way it goes. And it is, because you do see the victories and you see the failures and for you, a lot of these people, they always get the videos. They're always looking for you. And now when you're not at a trial, they're like, hey, But it can't be everywhere. I think somebody asked, how far have you gone to video? How much have you traveled?
The furthest one, and this was a one-time deal, and I had been begged. I went down to Kentucky, and it was under a agreement that a second person would be provided for me, and whatever. And it was awesome. I had a blast because I like to travel. It was also at a time where I think it was early on. I don't even think we had our son yet, so he's 4, so it was pretty early on. And because in the start, my wife and we used to both be the video operator. Like, she was the other camera operator, and then Miles came along and changed that game. But he'll be my little camera operator someday, I tell you.
Eventually, yeah, he'll get
his little camera that doesn't work anymore, but he thinks he's making movies, and I love it.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? I totally got off topic there.
Oh, how far have you gone?
Oh yeah, so Kentucky would be the furthest, but we've talked about. So I do, and we were talking about this before the video chat started, but I do have a day job still too, and so the goal would be bye to that. I hope my boss isn't watching, and then be able to travel further, because we've been asked to go to Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, Minnesota, and it would be fun to be able to do that. I literally picked out an RV. Smaller one. I was like, honey, we can do this. Anyway,
yeah. But yeah,
that's the future plans.
Yeah, because I think the video is going to be part of what we do for a long time. So I'm really glad that they changed it so we can videotape the interiors and everything.
Yes.
Really so helpful. That's a big change.
We've had very long conversations with NACSW about GoPros and technology and remote cameras for 2 years before they gave it the thumbs up.
Yeah, and it's been great. It's been a wonderful thing. All right, so now people want to have questions about if they want a video or do some of their own. So one of the things we promote to our students, and so we also do a lot of online, a little bit of online learning now that we're with COVID. That was quite the learning curve. That's what I learned a lot about is video and technology because wow, I had to learn that crash course in a couple of days. So
here you go.
So it was very, very, very frustrating for a couple of days. I had shed some tears over that stress of trying to learn that. So to start, like, what video editing programs do you use? And I don't know if you're a Mac user or a PC user, but if you know of a good one for both, or one or both, because I'm a Mac user, so I don't know what's out there for PC. So.
Unfortunately, I am in the same boat with you. I use iMovie for all the dog video stuff. I use Final Cut Pro for all the filmmaking stuff, and that's all Mac-based operating programs. So in the PC world, I'm actually not sure. Adobe Premiere is usable on Mac and PC, so that is one. And I believe there's different levels of that, like a more professional versus more basic level. So Adobe Premiere is a big one that a lot of people use in all sorts of professional levels. But did you want to talk about cameras too, or?
Yeah, and so the iMovie, because that's what I use is iMovie. I know there's probably a lot more to it. I just don't know enough. But I was able to manage to be dangerous just enough to be able to figure it out. So iMovie and Final Cut, you say, and that's a Mac one. Final Cut.
Yeah, Final Cut Pro is a Mac one. It's a much more. It's kind of like take the iMovie platform, but make it with a lot of advanced options. So it feels a little similar if you're used to iMovie and you open it up, and you'll kind of be able to navigate it on the basic same ideas of how iMovie works, but there's a lot more you can do with it. Okay. But for canine nose work videos and things like that, iMovie is plenty. It's enough. and I'm sure there's other ones with PCs that are even dialed down from what Adobe is. I don't even know how much Adobe Premiere costs, but I'm sure there's stuff out there.
Yeah.
You can find free ones for PCs, but they're either like you don't know how to use them unless you've been in a professional program, or they don't do much. So I really haven't seen that much out there. So
yeah, Aaron says Camtasia, which I've heard about that one before too, Aaron. So that's supposed to be a pretty good one for PCs. Yeah. Okay. So so the next is camera. What is the most? And I know you talked a little bit about it before we went on, but what are the best? I know you use a GoPro, but what are some of the options for just videotaping your practice sessions?
If you're doing practice stuff and don't want to buy a GoPro, because I mean, we were talking about this earlier, the GoPro Hero 5 is, because I think now they have the 8 is released. Is that right? Or is the 9 out? Anyway, they keep
I think the 9's out, yeah. For the silver.
It keeps going and going, and they're expensive, but we bought 3 of the 5. We bought one GoPro Hero 5, fell in love with it because it has a super wide view. You can choose your, how wide of a shot you want. And the super wide was so helpful, especially when we were talking about interiors, getting up high, putting it up on a little tripod or whatever, putting it up as high as you can. Even the little handle tripods that they come with. I mean, there's been trials we just taped it to the wall and stuck it up in a corner, and it stayed. That was good. But
always good.
Yeah. But a lot of cell phones today can take really great video. The nice things about GoPro is you can actually wirelessly control it from your phone or iPad or anything like that. And so it's nice to be able to look at the monitor and, for what we do, being able to stop and start and, record the searches. But if you're doing it for yourself, I would literally put a cell phone on some sort of high tripod or light stand or any type of whatever pole you can rig up and just put it up somewhere high in a room, because we were talking about this before. When you're high up, you eliminate a ton of obstructions, and it's kind of neat to actually see an overhead view, overhead, but high up view of the dog working.
Right.
And seeing how their pattern is going and flowing through a room. And so, yeah, we use 2 of the cameras that we use are probably overkill, and it's just because we had them and we're used to them and we love them.
Yeah.
We have a Canon one that is a cinema camera. Like, it's not really, but I bring it every time, and I still use it just because I like shooting with it. And if you're doing your own videos, a cell phone or a GoPro, I would say, is the way to go.
Yeah. So I think Karen asked about what's a good tripod, because they sell some that are pretty flimsy. So do you think it's worth investing in a little more professional one? Because I found personally, I bought the kind of more expensive ones, and they were terrible, because then your phone would fall over, or they wouldn't hold. It was. So I found that having a little bit more heavy duty one was a better investment, because you can use it. Like, I've had one that I invested, it wasn't a lot, but it was a little more price, a little more expensive. And I've had it for 5-6 years, and it looks like new. So
sure, yeah. And they're built to last. I mean, most tripods are. You can get a tripod for $20. You get a tripod for $2,500. It's crazy in between,
Right.
But the ones we use, like, I had one that we stopped using because at a trial, it caused a problem. We had a tripod malfunction because the head locked up and it wasn't able to turn anymore. But we had used that one for a long time, so we got a new one to match the other one that we had. And I mean, it could be $100 for a tripod. It could be, you could probably find a really good tripod for maybe $30-$40.
Yeah.
If you find anything that says fluid head, that is good. That means you're panning and tilting, you're left, right, you're up, down. It's going to be a lot smoother.
Yeah.
So fluid head is a good term. If you're looking for, if you're doing just a GoPro, so you don't have to actually move the camera. You're just setting a camera up. There's a lot of really cheap light stands, and light stands go higher than tripods. So those things will extend up a lot taller, and they have a smaller footprint. They just have the small legs that pop out. Those are good for GoPros because, I mean, if anybody's seen us at a trial, GoPros come with a little handle. You know, it's like a little handle. So we tape that to the head of the light stand, and then we raise it as high up as it'll go. That's
a great idea.
Because they don't all come with the fitting to screw on, so we just tape it to it, pop it up. Sometimes you want some weight on the tripod. If it's windy, if you're outside, put a sandbag on that puppy.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part,
great idea. I was wondering what. So okay. All right.
You'll see it tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, that's so, yeah. Oh, because that's why you're able to go so high up. Because yeah, there's nothing that, so that's a light stand that you have.
Yes, those are light stands. Yeah. And so we got those because, I mean, on Amazon, you can get a 3 light kit or a single light kit or whatever for really cheap. I bought a whole green screen kit for, I think, $100, and it came with the frame to do the drop cloth of the green screen and 3 lights and 3 stands for the lights and all that kind of stuff. And it was like $100 something, which is overkill for anything that we're talking about here. But yeah. I take those stands with on shoots because just in case I need to get up high with the camera, that's what we use them for.
Oh. So Aaron was asking about, do you use a built-in mic on your camera, even though the sound isn't as important? Because we do, I mean, there is always sound on the videos, which is awesome. You know, so you can call alert, or you can hear those things, but it's all those, that's a regular camera mic, right?
Yeah, the GoPros are just regular internal ones. You can actually get a little external shotgun mic that pokes out a little bit better for clearer audio for those. We do use the shotgun mics for the Canon and the Panasonic cameras that we shoot with, where we can zoom and pan and we're manually controlling them. Those are nice because they're directional. So wherever you're pointing, they're a little more focused out in front at that spot. So it kind of cuts away some of the side noise. If it's really windy outside, sometimes that's difficult. You'll see we have the big fuzzy sock that we put over the one microphone. Dogs really like that one.
Cha-Cha did.
Yeah, she came up, tried to take it.
It's no.
Oh, yeah. So that actually might be one of my favorite memories.
Yeah. She goes, it's a toy. It's so nice.
No. Yeah, that's but yeah, it does help. It does help. But yeah, if you're doing your own stuff, I mean, again, technology today is so good on a cell phone. It's insane of how good a quality audio and video you can get.
Right. So, can you go over really, like, I know, because one of the biggest challenges our folks have been having is uploading the video. So, and I know Joanne has an Android, so she can maybe speak to it a little bit. But on an iPhone, they usually upload to the cloud mostly, right?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, depending on how your settings are. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one thing, because that's been the challenge for folks, is being able to upload the video to their computer or to their and I know the GoPros have the little cards that you can have a reader for, that you can, right. Or you can connect it, you can get right from you. So let me ask you, can the GoPro, when they're connected to your phone, can you download it to your phone? No.
There's a way, I believe there's a way to do it. We don't mess with that. We always do it just to the card and then import the card into the computer.
Okay.
Just because there's also times where sometimes when it sends to a phone, it degrades the quality. That's not always true. It's also, again, what type of GoPro, what type of phone, and what type of settings you chose.
Right.
So there's a lot more to all that. But when it comes to just getting your footage, even if you're doing it on a cell phone, I mean, if you have Google Photos, if you have where your stuff backs up automatically, or if you have just Google Drive and you can send them to that so that they're in a secondary place that you could go into a computer and put them on your, go onto the internet and just download them to your computer from Google Drive. You could do that too. So there's a lot of software or file sharing sites out there, or Dropbox is another one.
Yeah.
Just where you can house your stuff and access it easier.
Right.
There's options. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Audrey had a question. How do you plan on what equipment to take to a trial site you've never seen?
I take everything. I do. I bring it all in the car, and there's a bag. I call it my Diddy bag. I don't know why, because it's got every random thing in it, and I bring it with every time, and I've never used it. But the one time I don't bring it, I know I'm going to need it. So it's just the whole back of our Jeep is just packed with equipment. We always use the same things pretty much every time, but there's always that feeling of, I never want to be at a trial and say, oh, I wish I would have brought this.
Right.
So we just load everything up.
And it's true, we always say this. It's like, if you bring it and that you may need it, you don't. But if the day you forget it, guess what?
Yes.
You probably should have bought that then.
Exactly.
So bringing it offers a, little insurance that you won't need it, right? All right. JD Pups asks, do you ever offer or do portrait shot at a trial for those who earn a title? Actually, JD, Sean Rossman, or the photographer, usually does those.
And he's good.
And he's awesome.
I don't know how he does some of the stuff he does. I'm like, man, I want your lenses on my cameras. It is amazing.
Yeah. He usually if there's a photographer at the trial site like Sean, he's the man. For and actually that is a Facebook Live we are going to have, right, Joanne, and have talk about photography and all that stuff. So we've got Sean in our sites too.
Oh, good, do it.
Because sometimes, especially now with the social media and stuff, taking pictures and stuff is really. So I thought we'd have a lot more to discuss on that. So I wanted to do it. So usually most of the time, if there's a titles or whatever at trials, usually if there's a photographer, Sean or Jamie will sometimes shoot those kind of pictures and stuff like that. Let's see what was. Go ahead,
George was asking a while ago, more of a personal question. Have you ever been an extra in a movie?
Yes, I have.
Yay! He must have known that, right, George?
He had to have. I don't know. Maybe him and I had talked about it, but so when I was in film school in Chicago, they were filming Spider-Man 2. And they got a bunch of the film students together and a bunch of other people, but they said, we're doing this whole L train sequence. We need people on the platforms and people in the subway cars. And they basically rented a whole train for the day and were shooting, what ended up in the movie being a big fight between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. And none of them were there. We were just looking at nothing, being like, oh. And, it's just, they're like, okay, now be scared. And it's just so blink and you miss it things. I still have never seen myself in the movie, but I was there and I know I was filmed. I just didn't make it. I was on the cutting room floor. But there's another movie called Accepted, which is more of a college film that when I first moved out to LA, my producing partner Richard, him and I lived together, and he's like, hey man, I just got cast as a background whatever in this college movie and they need people, come with me. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. And I've never had more makeup on in my life because I don't go tanning, so I'm very pale compared to all these people out there.
California, yeah.
Oh, it was nuts. I'm like, I don't like the way I feel right now. This is strange, but it was an experience. It was cool to be just on set and learning, behind the scenes stuff, and actually got to network with some folks from some of those projects, and get jobs as a production assistant on other shoots while I was out there. But cool story is one of the reasons I decided to go to LA was, is anybody's seen the remake of Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds?
No.
It's a little intense, but it was filmed 2 miles from my parents' house. And so I got wind, you know, I'm in film school and I got wind that, hey, they're shooting a movie nearby. So I just showed up on set every day. I was working at Blockbuster at the time. So I would go to work and then I would show up, or I would show up and then I would go to work depending on my shift. And they were like, dude, we don't like, what are you doing? And I'm like, if you need anything, I'll work on your movie. I'll be here. So finally I showed up one day and the assistant director looks at me and goes, guess what? I got something for you. And I'm like, what? And so I got to be the stand-in for Philip Baker Hall, which he played the priest who gets attacked by all the flies when he's doing the exorcism on the house. It's really intense. But while he was in hair and makeup, the camera needed to set up and figure out where to go and how the movements would be. And so I got to be the person doing the physicality stuff for the camera to get set up and know how to do the focus and all that. It was really fun. I got to pretend to be attacked by flies. It was great. Anyway, so there's a long-winded answer.
Yeah. Well, most of the people who know me know that I'm not a horror film girl, so I don't watch those movies. So, like I had said before, my idea of a scary movie is Hocus Pocus.
Hey, they just announced they're doing a sequel.
I know, so I'll be watching that one, but that's it.
That's good. That's classic.
I'm not a scary movie kind of girl. Yeah, I can't sleep if I see those. Anyway,
So,
yeah,
BJ,
I'm kind of a lightweight that way.
BJ was dog and white. That's funny, Karen.
That's funny because that's a good way to put it.
So, do you do any kind of freelance work? I mean, if somebody needed a commercial filmed or really wanted to make something special with them and their dog or anything like that, are you out for hire? Can somebody contact you and make something special?
We have the contact page on our website, rainyday.com, and we have, rainydayproductions@gmail.com is my email, and which is on like all the order forms and stuff. So I'm easily accessible. I am on Facebook. It's depending on timing in the project. It's anything is on the I don't really, unless we're swamped, I try not to turn things down.
Okay. Cool. That's good to know. You stop. You're fine. Yeah, he's bored. So, what was my other question? So when and I know you alluded to it earlier, your scariest, I know some of the dogs that look at you or, focus on you when they're at the trial. So I'm guessing there's been times that you've been a little worried about dogs coming, showing interest in you. It's
not so much like fear of getting attacked or anything. My dogs are jumpers. And so I know that if a dog is excited and beelining right for me in the camera, there's a good chance that, they're going up on 2 legs. And so it's just being prepared, bear hugging the tripod and still trying to not shake the camera. So just in case they don't do anything, you look like a baby. So, it's a mix of a lot of weird things.
Oh yeah, because some of the dogs get really excited. And
yes.
Yeah.
There may or may not have been a giant red Doberman that really liked BJ's camera in a vehicle search in the last 30 days or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
No.
Well, that's the other thing. I like to go down low sometimes too on vehicles to be able to see under cars, especially if it's a small dog, because you can't always get around all the angles. Right. There's another tip. I like high angle on interior, low angle on vehicles. But yeah, when you're low, you're more in their zone, and they like to come up to you even closer. So yeah, right. That happens.
Let's see. What was my other questions?
There's a cat in the camera.
Yeah, he's being very, very, very naughty, and the cat is not helping. Stop. The cat's running, and the dog is chasing, and he always makes cameos on her.
That's awesome.
The last time Fido made a cameo, I had a little bit of a meltdown. I could not quit giggling. So it was a good first 5 minutes of the Facebook Live.
That's great.
Oh, I know. What are some of the most challenging environments that you've been in as you're videotaping? I know cold and heat.
Oh yeah.
And rain.
There's always something. Every trial has its own obstacle, whether it's temperature, moisture, snow, anything. We've shot in all of it. Man, I'm trying to think. Cold is tough because the batteries of the cameras burn down faster too.
Okay.
Heat is one thing, but yeah, the cold is like, because you as the camera operator, you're not moving. You cannot walk around and warm up. You are just stuck there. In the Joliet prison, when we did one down there, man, there was no power there, so that was tough. And it was cold and it was snowing and the sun was going down and there's no electricity at the place, and so there's no lights inside. And so I talked about this before, that sometimes on iMovie I'll take people's runs, and if it's dark, I'm going to boost the light up. I went full max on some of these interior searches, and it was still hard to see some of them because the trial went that long and it was that dark, and it was, I think it was November of one year, but yeah, it's crazy. I will say the hardest elite trial, George. But I tell you what, I learned a lot on that one, so thank you. It wasn't his fault. That Janesville trial where we had one camera shooting down, we were under the bleachers, and it was a long hallway. And it was an elite trial where there were cubby rooms under every, section of the bleachers, and there was just crap everywhere. There was stuff obstructing views all over. So I'm sitting at the end of the long hallway with a zoom camera, just watching them come at me. But as soon as they walk into one of the things, they're gone. So I had all three GoPros set up in different positions, and then the main camera. And that's the first time we took elites and said, I was like, I can't just give this raw footage to people. I have to edit this together because people aren't even going to know what they're watching. Like, it's going to be chaos trying to figure out how your search went. And that was when we started just splicing elites together, because again, if I was buying the video, I would hope it would kind of be put together that way. So
yes, I was at that trial, and yes, the video footage was fantastic. It was great. It was because Petra and I competed in that trial, and it was really, really awesome. And yet Kalua visited, so did Chacha, actually. Everybody visited BJ in that trial.
Yeah, just so you know, before we went live, we actually told BJ he needs to raise his prices for elite. So
no.
Yeah. So Mary Beth, she goes, hope you get to make a movie about Nosework someday. That's going to be like Best in Show. Just saying.
So I have a whole idea that is very much based off Best in Show, but I feel like it'll be a total ripoff of Best in Show if I do it like a mockumentary. So I think I have ideas. I have a lot of experiences to draw from.
I bet you do.
I feel like I have a whole group of people that if I wanted to get some more, I could easily ask. So yeah, it's on my docket. I actually have a file on my phone, a note file, and it's like all the things that because someday I want to make, and it's on there because, man, this has been awesome. And I just think it'd be
show mommy, where is it? Show mommy.
Oh my God. I think there's room for another mockumentary. I'm just saying.
It's been a long time, and it probably, maybe I'll try to get in touch with them and say, hey, let's do a sequel.
Well, Eugene Levy just got done with his project, so maybe he's available.
Yeah, well, yeah, Schitt's Creek's over. Yeah, that's right. He's looking for new content.
There you go.
Right. And we can provide it in spades. Just saying.
That is a fact. Yeah.
All right. This has been so awesome and so fun. Did you guys have any other questions? If you do, now's the time to ask. If you want to, BJ, can you give your contact information again if somebody wants to get a hold of you for anything video? You have I know it's Rainy Day Productions at Gmail, but what's your website?
The website is just rainyday.com, but it's spelled like my last name, which I should have thought this through a little better early on, but hey, we have the website now. So it's Rayniday. So last name's Rayniak, rainy day, play on words. Yay.
R.A. Rainy. So this, let me scroll it. Hold on. That's it, right?
Oh, hey, there you go. Oh, that's fancy. Look at you. Look at you go. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. All right.
And BJ, why don't you go ahead and state those 3 projects that you worked on too, in case people want to check those out.
Oh, awesome. The Rocket is on Amazon Prime. And it actually may be on more platforms. I just heard that we have a new distributor we're working with, and they have gotten it on quite possibly 17 different platforms. That's a number I heard, and I don't know what all of them are. It could be on Vudu, it could be on all sorts of stuff. But then Blame will be coming out later this year. So stay tuned for that. We're going to make a big deal about that. And then the Worth of Water, a Great Lakes story. You can go to theworthofwater.com for that one. That's on YouTube for free. You could just go watch it whenever you want. So
cool. Awesome. All right. Thanks, BJ. Thanks everyone for coming out. See you next time. Thanks a lot.
Yep. If you can go like our Facebook pages, you can catch more of these.
And follow our Facebook page For Your Canine and For Better Force. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks everybody.